How's it going, guys? My name is Tin, and welcome back to a very interesting video. So, Siege is going down the drain. There are not a lot of people watching Siege anymore. Content creators themselves have been moving on. Some are doing variety streaming, some have completely quit Siege and moved on to other things. And the people who are here are really scrambling to keep viewership. One way that I decided to take initiative and continue to try to make Siege content in a unique way is make skits. My main inspiration comes from like Red vs. Blue, the old Halo skits, and then of course people like NFX on TikTok who do skits as well. The thing is, for skits, for me, I do them by myself, and so in order to get scenes, I go into a match, I get the scenes, I act out it, and then I move on to the next round. The problem is, in order to move on to the next round, as you guys know in Rainbow Six Siege, you have to win or lose by any means, but when you're by yourself, that becomes a little harder, because not everybody has, like, a C4. And sometimes I do it on defense, so I can't simply just rappel onto a roof and fall down. So I have to get creative with the ways that I do so. And so, as I was doing that, I decided, I was like, man, I wonder if there's a map that I can't do this on. I wonder if there's a map that I can't kill myself on. I don't want to say kill, I don't want the YouTube gods to strike me down, but I had to say it that way. I wonder if there's a map where I can't take fall damage in order to end the Siege operator's life to move on to the next round. And that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to go through every single map, and we are going to find out which maps it's impossible to die on. So, first up we have is House. The rules are very simple. I have to pick an operator that does not have a way to, kill themselves. So, like, I can't go somebody with a C4, or Impacts, Tachanka, Goyo, none of that. I don't know if speed is going to be a concern, so I'm just going to stick to Sentry, give him a nice 2-3 speed. So I'm just going to change that. And we're going to go around the map, and we're going to see if I'm able to, and how easy it is. So maps like this one, House, incredibly easy. This is a known thing forever. You come here, you jump out the window, you fall down, you die. Right? There goes map 1. So now what we're going to do is we have a list here of all the maps. We're going to take House. Easy. Very, very easy. We're going to keep going in order, and we're going to list it from easy, normal, hard, impossible, and then, obviously Hero 4 got nuked a couple seasons ago, so it no longer exists. I can't actually check. Although I feel like there was probably a way to do it in that map. We won't know. So the thing about some of these maps is the ranking is a bit askew. Right, I have it easy, normal, hard, impossible. The thing is, the easy ones, some of them aren't going to be necessarily easy. They're just going to be ones that I, remember that I can do. So, for example, if you had given somebody tell somebody else to do this, but somebody who's new to the game, they're not going to know to run all the way to tower over here and climb up this ladder and then drop themselves off from, here. They're not going to know that. It's such a random thing to do. But it's very simple for me. So I'm going to try my best not to let the fact that I just know how to do these things affect the rankings. Although this one still is kind of easy once you find it. It's not a hard thing to do, so I'm going to still include it in the easy category. I'm going to just move Oregon to easy. And next map is Clubhouse. Okay, so as I tried to record this, as you can see with a little plug that has the X, Siege servers went offline. I don't know if it was just a me thing, or if Siege is being a dick. This doesn't really stop the recording process. I just thought that was kind of funny that this happened. Anyways, now we're on Clubhouse. Now I want to instill a rule here. I know I said environmental damage earlier. I kind of meant fall damage. I am banning myself from the use of these only because not all the maps have it. If all the maps had it, then this video wouldn't even exist. But because all the maps don't have it, I want to exclude using pipes or anything of that sort from counting. So it's strictly fall damage alone. Now, honestly, this is one of those maps that might be a little hard. Because I don't know. So there's no roof access to defenders as far as I'm concerned at all.
You have been spotted.
So I would have to figure out a way to get high enough where I could actually fall. The problem is, like I said, I can't use gadgets or anything because not everybody has those same gadgets. I don't think I can get any. This is not high enough to take damage. What if I get on top of this and fall? Is that damage right there? It's not. Okay. So I need to find a way to get high enough. Okay, alright. So technically speaking, I don't have to instantly die from the height. I just need to take damage. Because if I do it over and over again, then I will die. That is kind of the thing that I have learned here. So I need to get high enough where I could fall down and take damage. Now, this isn't high enough, so I need to find another place to do so. Now, I can't get to this roof. I know there's a thing you can do with a zombie. Like I said, it's a gadget, though. So I don't know if there's actually a place I can do it. Clubhouse might be impossible. So I wonder, I've seen glitches before where you can get from here to here. Because if I can get to this roof, I can get to that roof. I just need to know how to get there. So how can I get from here to there? Because that seems easy, but it's not easy. What would I need to do to get there? I don't know if there's a way for me to get there anymore. Because I remember there used to be a thing, like you can run on top of this chair. You get up there. Yeah, I don't know if that's possible anymore. Because I have to get on top of this chair. And then I have to run from there to there. But I don't think I could do it anymore. I think that ever since they changed the way people fall in the game, you can't do that. I'll give it one more try. Maybe I just need to get a better angle. But yeah, I don't think that's possible anymore to get on top of this with the use of this chair. The only way I can see myself doing it is if I go from like here to like see how I landed on top of that? Maybe that way is possible, but I just don't see it. Because I keep falling off, so I have no clue. Let's see. You know what? Let me actually check one place real quick. I don't think anything in here would be high enough, honestly. You know, because you can drop down here. I thought this place would be a little higher up. I don't come here too often, so I don't remember what it like looked like. But yeah, no, I thought maybe this would be a little higher up, or I can get to a spot where it is high up. I can't really get up here. Yeah, again, I'm trying not to use gadgets, like I said, because not everybody has gadgets. So I'm going just solely based off of if I can get up high enough to do it. And I don't think on this map there's a spot where I can get up high enough to fall off without the use of a gadget. So I think we're gonna have to call it here for a clubhouse. I just don't think there's a single spot on this map where I can get up high enough and fall down. Let me just try this up here one more time, right? Falling from there. No damage. Now, what if I crouch? Does crouching increase height?
Your location has been compromised.
Shit, okay. No. Alright, yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, without the use of pipes or gadgets, you cannot damage yourself on this map. Which, of course, would mean that Clubhouse is the first one to be introduced into the impossible category. Servers loaded back up, which was nice, by the way. Still don't have everybody. Still gonna go Sentry. I am gonna switch to this so that it's easier for me to open up walls and impacts. Also, I'm gonna bring this and this. I can't use them, but I think having all of that to help me get around maps faster than just a stupid Super Shorty is gonna be amazing.
Bomb locations
now,
are secure.
This is gonna be an easy one. Like I said, I'm gonna try not to let the fact that I know how to do these things factor into it. This one is just genuinely easy. The idea behind it is you have to get high enough up. So if you look up and say that's high, how can I get up there? And then you get up there super easy. I feel like it's easy, right? Even if you don't necessarily realize it at the beginning. Like for example, in Oregon, you might have not realized that tower was high enough up, but you might have thought about it.
Mission failure.
It doesn't take, you know, rocket science to realize that tower is the highest point on the map. Same thing with this. It doesn't take rocket science to realize there's a way to get outside. So this map will be inducted into the easy category. Now this map is interesting because I know for a fact there's no direct way to get on roof as like a defender. Like there's actually just no way at all. So the only way I could possibly win this one is if I can find a part of the map that's high enough to where I can kill myself.
Your location has been compromised.
And the fact that I could just vault off of that to begin with means it's probably not high enough up. So I don't really know. The only other place that I know that kind of exists on like a high playing field that the defenders can get to is outside of bathroom. But like there's this big ass wall thing here. So even if this was high enough, I'd have to fall from here to down there. And I don't even think that's high enough either. I don't know if this would be high enough. Like, I would have to get onto this railing and then fall, like, there. But, again, getting on the railing is the problem. I don't know if I can just get on this railing. I don't think I can. Let's see. It could be from oh, okay, hold on. What if I jump up here, and then fall down the hatch? Oh, shit! Guys, I think I found it. Hold on a second. Okay, so if I jump from here, can I get on the microwave? Oh, it's too high. On the toaster? No, it's too high. Oh my god, guys, I found it. Okay, alright, so we know our strategy. Ooh, wait! Is that a possibility in Clubhouse 2 now? That might change the game here. Editing Tin here. So I don't have the best computer. So I was trying to fix some stuff in OBS to fix the quality of it so it can run well and record well and all that kind of stuff. And in doing so, I ended up accidentally turning off the recording of my microphone for the rest of the video. So from here on out, instead of live reactions, you will be getting a voiceover, which shouldn't change too much, but it's kind of fucking unfortunate. With that being said, we'll be putting our first map into the normal category. And we learned a new technique, which was hatch dropping. So that'll definitely carry over to a lot of different maps moving forward. But let's go back to Clubhouse, because I found a way to do so there too. So the strategy behind hatch dropping is very, very simple. You want to get high enough to a point where you can drop from the hatch to take damage. Now, some hatches obviously don't work here. Like, so for example, if you saw in Gym, there was no way for me to get high up to begin with. And then here, you can see there's no way for me to get high enough to take damage, especially because I'm landing on the stage, not directly on the floor. Here, I actually thought I was going to be able to do it, but I fall and no damage taken. I believe the next hatch is over here. As you can see, again, there's nothing to get on top of. I do try to get on top of this, but unfortunately, there's no way to get on top of there without gadgets. Right? The entire premise of this is trying to do something that everybody can do. And so if I have to use a gadget, it doesn't really work. Now, here's actually an example of me being the biggest of brains. So here I realize it doesn't drop me, but I run back upstairs because I see that the microwave is a little higher and I could probably get on top of that. So I end up standing on the microwave, and lo and behold, it does damage. Now, as you can see, it does about 4 damage every time I drop. Or 3 damage, I should say. And one of the main reoccurrences that you're going to see in this video is me trying to maximize that damage as much as possible. Now, this is actually where I learned another technique. I kind of already knew I could do this, but as you can see, I'm thinking, how can I get on top of this? And for those of you who don't know, the movement in the game kind of works a little differently now with Siege X, where you can sort of like strafe through objects and to climb on top of them. So as you can see, when I get back on top of the desk, you'll see right now, I'm going to get on top of the desk, get in the microwave, and then I'm going to kind of strafe around, and I'm kind of elevated even higher, dropping me down, doubling the damage up to about 8. So now I'm doing 8 damage every time I fall, which if I'm at 110 health, give or take, that's about like 12 or 13 drops. I don't feel like doing math right now, but in 12 or 13 drops, I'm dying instead of the original like 20 drops. As you can see, I tried doing it again, and I'm going to drop, and I'm probably going to take a round. That was 7 damage, but it's still more than what I was doing before. So now I make my way back up for one last final drop from the microwave. Or I guess, yeah, I'm going back up here. And I fall, killing myself, officially removing Clubhouse from Impossible and moving it back up to, I believe I put it in hard here. That will change later on down the road. We're going to go over the whole entire, rating system later on in the video when I finish all the stuff. But for now, we're going to leave it in hard. So a lot of these maps are super easy to take fall damage from. Like, it's super easy to get access to the roof on some of these, like in this one. And so what I do throughout the video is, instead of immediately trying to just go and fall off and go to the next map, I try to find something a little different. This has nothing to do with taking fall damage. I mean, it technically does. So, I saw a video on TikTok, probably the other day, where a zombie can actually have an angle to throw a barrier here. I didn't feel like setting up the angle, but I just came over and did it. And when you throw it here, it should push you off when you climb up the ladder. Now, here I'm checking to see if you can see it, which you kind of can. If you're not really paying attention and you go fast, you might not be able to see it. The entire experiment, though, is to see what happens when you actually climb up the ladder. And lo and behold, it doesn't really work. If you're not paying attention, you'll probably fall off and slip. But if you just have like you know, a glimpse of like, oh shit, and then you gotta walk around it, you can walk around it. Even here, I tried to make the barrier a little bit bigger to see if it genuinely would push you off. But you kind of just stand on top of the railing. You're not slipping or anything like that. You're just standing right on top of it. So you can see I can just go back and forth. And so, like I said, if you're going up there fast, you're not really paying attention, you're trying to get up there, you might slip and fall. But realistically, this is kind of pointless. So with that being said, falling off the roof, insta-kill, making us bring Bank all the way up to easy, because you can just walk off the roof. So, some good news for this video. As I was, you know, going through to try to edit some stuff, I realized that some maps like Canal, where it's super easy to walk off the map, I didn't actually attempt any hatch drops, because I just walked off the map immediately. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're actually going to try to figure out if there's any other ways on this map, specifically, if I can take damage. So my idea is to try to get on top of this railing, because you can see the railing is just a little higher than the chair. And so if I can get on top of that railing, then I will be able to take some damage, if I don't continue to suck. Okay, on top of the railing. Now if I fall down... What? That doesn't do damage? Hold on a second. Okay, so from here to there, that doesn't do any damage at all? Are you kidding me? From here to there, no damage. Wow, that's insane. That seems like a high enough drop. You know what that means? That means that this hatch over here isn't going to do any damage either, because I feel like, even if I stand on the desk, it's kind of the same height. You can't get on top of the fan? Like, I'm trying to get on top of the fan, but I think it's too close to the wall for me to really stand on. Wow, that's actually insane. I thought that would have done it. I really thought that would have done it. I think that's all. Oh no, there's one more hatch. Hold on, wait. The only problem is nothing to stand on top of in this room. Like, even if I get up here, obviously this is not high enough. It's gonna drop me down. Yeah, wow. Oh my god, I didn't know. I thought it was gonna be enough. I know there's this hatch here. But again, if we're going off of the track record, standing on things won't do enough damage. Like, if I drop here, that's not enough. Wow, okay. So our last sign of hope is this hatch over here, then. Yeah, no, there's no way. I'd have to get on top of this, but, like, there's no way for me to do that. Like, there's no, like... Oh, shit! I did not expect me to be able to vault on top of this. Damn it. Okay, it still didn't do damage. Damn. I really thought I had that. I really thought I was going to be able to do that. That's super unfortunate. Okay, so this is obviously, like, one of the main places you could accidentally fall off and kill yourself here. But I really wasn't expecting none of the hatches to work on this map. That's kind of insane. Well, at least it's still possible, but no hatch drops on this map. Anyways, with that being said, obviously Canal does join the rankings of easy because although there were hatch drops, I could just walk off the building. Next, we have Chalet. So, again, like I said, I could just come over here and, you know, jump off this little balcony here. Right there, but I do want to see if there's any way we can do the hatching. Now here, I think the hatch is just too far from anything. Even if this bed was high enough, again, I don't... Oh, shit. But that does 1 damage. 1 single damage, so I would have to jump off 110 times. Or 109 times now. Is there any... What if I strafe onto the bomb? Can I do that? Hold on, if I get on top of this... Wait, hold on. So if I get on top of... Hold on a second. So I gotta fall off. This is not working out for me here, guys. Well, actually, I think the bomb is further anyway, so... That didn't even do 1 damage this time. Okay, is there any way for me to increase the damage? I think I have to run off of this specifically. Let's... Oh, that did 2. Okay, that did 2. Alright, we're gonna hold off that. So, next we have this thing. Now, I have to hope not to land on the chair. There's a chair right there. So, from here, can I... You think I can climb this tree? No, if I punch it here or whatever, right? It just shoots it off completely. Yeah. Oh, well, that dropped me off immediately. I think I fell... I think it's too far. Which is insane because I feel like I slipped so far off the bed. Tell me I can't... I fall off almost instantly there? That's weird. Okay, so I guess... Well, let me see if I can maybe drop from the desk, maybe? Like from here? I think that's possible? Here we go. From here to there, right? Think I can do that? Oh, but the chair! Damn it! So I have to fall off at like such a weird angle in order to do that. I would have to like make sure to like try to like stop. Yeah, no, if there is a possibility, it's like the thing with hatch drops is that they're normal difficulty as it is. Like if I were to rank them, they're definitely normal because there's not something you're just gonna know how to do. But if I have to, you have to be like, okay, you have to come on top of these boxes, you have to run in a specific angle where you don't fall on top of anything. That's gonna be hard. So I think this hatch specifically is just not right. There's this hatch here. So if I can get on top of this couch, it's potentially high enough. No, I think that's as high I'm going to get on that couch, is the cushion. Let me try it one more time, just to really, you know... I think I'm pretty high, and then I run off. No damage. Okay, so far, I've only been able to take 3 damage, and it's extremely inconsistent, because I took 1 and 0 as well. There's also this hatch up here, which this looks pretty high. So, like, this could potentially do some damage. I did 7. Perfect. Okay, hold on. Let me see if it's consistent. Okay, so that is consistent. So if you need to do it for whatever reason, and let's say we were breaking rules and said no, you can't jump off buildings. Like you have to find a way to do it via hatch drop. This is the way to go here. Now there is one more hatch off the top of my head. Oh wait, this hatch right here. Well, obviously this isn't gonna work. Doesn't matter. There is a hatch over here. And I think it's next to this as well, so this could potentially be, like, a good one. The only problem that lies here is if I don't go, like, you know... Like, if I just drop like this. Oh, I'm also realizing there's a table right there, so I have to do it right here. Yeah, see, look at that. I don't understand... Because that's definitely the same thing, right? It's the same height. I feel like this thing is the same height. You know what I think it is? I think when you fall off, you're running down, so you're already dropping down. So the time you get here, the game kind of detects, oh, you landed on the floor, even though you didn't. By the time you hit the floor, it's as if you were falling from here instead of up there. That's my only explanation to this. Because that was absolutely the same height. There's no way. This one's definitely too far, right? Yeah, it's too far. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, that's all the hatches. Okay, so if I were making the rule that I have to hatch drop on each map, it would be in this room here. This is the best one to do it on because it does the most damage and consistently. Regardless of the hatch dropping though, even though, you know, I could sit there and fall over and over and over again, the good thing is this match does have ledges. So I could just drop off here and die. Which brings Chalet, of course, to easy because, again, even though there's only one good hatch drop, ledges exist. So I would have went back to find some hatch drops on Cafe, but technically speaking, I don't have to because honestly, I think jumping off of the table is way easier of like a thing to do than to run around and try to find hatch drops because the concept behind hatch drops is very simple. You try to find a high point on the map and you drop down, and so what you do is use hatches to that advantage. You get on top of a desk, and when you drop down, you drop via the hatch and you take even more damage. So here, I'm thinking, alright, if I jump on top of this desk, maybe I can drop down and fall on the stairs instead of the floor and take some damage. Fortunately, it doesn't work out because I land on the railing, but the concept still stands, right? In this map, you don't need hatches because you're using the same concept of dropping on top of the table to drop onto the floor to take damage. In a very interesting plot twist for this video, I die here, and this is pre-recorded. This is me earlier when I recorded this originally. I actually put this in easy. That might change. At the very end of the video, we're going to go over the entire rankings again to see if I want to move anything around. For now, we're just going to go off of what I do originally, and then at the end, we'll change it if I have to. Bouncing off of that, this is kind of a reason why I want to go over my list just one final time. Because this hatch drop, right, my ideology was hatch drops typically are normal, but this hatch drop specifically isn't one that you have to go out of your way to randomly find. This one, I guarantee you, has probably happened to a couple of your friends before. So I think I am in agreement here. I put it in easy, but the reason why I put it in easy is because this hatch drop specifically is a thing that people probably accidentally did anyways. This isn't something random that's happened. Because people, that angle going up there is really, really common. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody accidentally went up on that angle and fell down and knows, hey, I gotta be careful, this hatch could kill me. Right, so if you're playing Border and you're up there, you already have that in your head, hey, I could die if I fall from here, keep that hatch closed, which is why I'm putting it in easy. So we're going to take a pause on normal base maps, and we're going to take a look at the two maps that are outside of normal game modes. We have close quarters here, which is in, TDM and free-for-all or whatever. Then we also have district, which is, dual front. Now, this map, I know for a fact there's no way for you to kill yourself by ledges because you can't really access the outside of the map in general. This was specifically made for TDM, so there's no, like, rappelling or roofs or anything like that in mind because this was made specifically just to run around and shoot each other. So right now, I'm looking for hatches. And as you can see, I find one. The problem is that a lot of the time, the hatches don't drop onto anything. Unfortunately, this map, like I said, was not made with normal map design in mind. This map was made to be as blank as possible. It's supposed to be a training map, with the baseline of, oh, you're a military guy running around shooting. There are not a lot of things that you can drop off of because it's just meant to be a bunch of random barrels and shit like that. There isn't a lot of things you can do that. This hatch specifically is a problem because there's actually a table right in front of you. You're going to see in a second when I drop down, I hit the table. I guarantee you if that table wasn't there, it would do damage. But because that table thing is there, I keep landing on it and there's no way for me to avoid it. I'm running around this map and I'm really trying to grasp for hope here that I can find any hatch at all that I could jump. Here I'm trying to jump out of the map, see if there's a glitch that I can get to or I get high enough up. And unfortunately, nothing's going on. I cannot find a single hatch that's next to something where I can drop off of. But there is a little bit of hope because I do end up finding this bathtub that's right here that I can actually climb on top of that I'm super surprised about. Now, I don't know if you saw that. The problem is the bathtub is slanted. So when you start to drop off, you're not just dropping off, you're walking off because you're walking downwards with the slope of the bathtub. And so this, for the next like 5 minutes or so, or actually sorry, 2 minutes, I found it right here, I'm trying to avoid that slope. The problem is that there's not really an angle where I could drop off without hitting that slope. And so it's just a continuous slope that I'm hitting over and over and over again for the next 2 minutes, trying my best to fall off and, and try to take damage. Because the rim, I feel like the rim is high enough. But once you start walking off, you immediately start hitting that slope, and it's almost impossible to avoid. I tried over and over and over and over again, and unfortunately, literally nothing worked. There wasn't a single angle that I could find on top of this tub, no matter where I stood on the rim, where I could take enough damage. And so, unfortunately, I have to accept defeat here with one last final hoorah, no damage being done, which means that this map is the first one to enter the impossible category. So, the thing about dual front is you can rappel with everybody. You can rappel with defenders and attackers. So technically speaking, I can rappel on the roof no matter who I am and then fall off. But I want to keep it grounded, so I want to just see if I can get to a high enough place up by myself and do it. Dual front, you absolutely can. I just wanted it to be known that I know that you can rappel. I just wanted to see if there was a way to do it without rappelling. So no doubt about it, dual front definitely earns its spot in the easy category along with those other maps. Skyscraper is an incredibly interesting map, because this was the entire inspiration for this video. If you go on my TikTok right now, the most recent video I made was on Skyscraper, I believe. And I had 5 defenders that I needed to go through. So round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5. I needed to find a way to kill myself to move on to the next round. There's no way to do it with the ledges in the map. So I'm literally running around, and you're going to see right here, I find this ledge, and I say, normally you don't take damage. But I learned about the strafing here. I knew about it already. So if I can strafe on top of this thing and fall down, it did damage. I did not expect it to work. I was losing hope here. Because, this obviously I did it, like, afterwards. When I actually did it originally, I was like 15 minutes into the round. I was like, I cannot find a way to do it. So I was just looking for any way to kill myself. And here, it fucking worked. And that was insane. I also didn't know about hatch drops at this point, so that's why I didn't do hatch drops. Like I said, I discovered this a while ago. This I discovered like a week or 2 ago, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to save this for a video. And then during the video, this is when I learned about hatch drops, so I didn't know it around this time, and so I didn't try it on this map. But I think this is cooler than hatch drops, because it involves the same concept, but I got creative. Okay, so when it comes to Skyscraper, I do have to actually check some hatches to see if it will be possible, because if not, then this map would be considered hard, in my personal opinion, when it comes to rankings. Because this is a normal drop. This is a drop that people actively use all the time. This is a spot that people actively use all the time. So, in somebody's head, they don't think this is high enough. They have to know, okay, I have to go specifically on this to drop down and take damage. They're not going to know that off rip. So, technically speaking, if this is the only way to take damage on this map, this would be considered hard. So I have to just go around to the few hatches that are on this map just to make sure. So there's this one here, which I wonder if I can get on top of this chair, if it'll do it. I'm on top of the chair. Okay, that actually did not do the damage. Now, I'm curious, right? I keep running forward. I wonder if I stop right before I get to the hatch. Like if I, for example, if I keep running forward, I land about right here. But if I stop, I can stop. So like, if I let go of my controller, see how that works? So if I keep going, I can stop here instead of land here. So I'm wondering if maybe that's the reason why I'm not taking damage, is because I keep running forward. So if I just run and stop, drop, you know, okay. That does not do damage. I don't even know if there's another hatch on this map. Yeah, I actually don't think there's a single other hatch in this entire map. Not that I know of. Because, like, I could, like this, I would have to get over that and land there. Or on the floor. I think that's it. I think this map only has the 2 hatches. And neither of them are good enough to hatch drop off of. So, with that being said, going back to here, after dropping off this, killing myself, I put it in normal here. Like I said, we'll go over to the end. I'm going to say that this is officially a hard map. Okay, so Yacht was another map I wanted to revisit. This was one of those maps that I could just jump off of a ledge, and move over here, hopped up, and then I went from there to fell down there. But I do want to see, like I said, if there are ways to hatch drop down here. Because there are a couple hatches, and I know this one's right next to the desk, and I can probably get on top of that computer. So I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I'm kind of scared I'll instantly die, honestly. No, there's no way that doesn't do damage. What's going on here? There are some angles where I feel like I'm so high up, and it just doesn't do any damage at all. And then there are some where, like, oh, okay, I'm not that high up, and then it does, like, fucking 20. There's no way this doesn't do enough damage. What if I... Oh, my God. Wait, hold on. What if I... Oh, I think I broke the other desk. What if I try to get on top of here? Oh, no, wait. Hold on. Let's get creative here. So, if I run... Hold on. I get on top of this computer. Alright. And then I gotta strafe on top of those books. I'm really surprised. I gave up on doing that, by the way. I'm really surprised that that doesn't do enough damage. I'm actually super upset about that. I guess I could try here. Do you think I can get on top of this? The problem is I don't think I can stand on that. I think that's obviously crouch. How did I get on top of it before? Okay, there we go. Does this do damage? What? That's so high up! The drop-off damage, like the fall damage drop-off stuff, is super inconsistent. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then watch this do like fucking 50 damage or some shit. Oh my god, that's ridiculous. There's no way. Are you being serious right now? Okay, well, what's... And then I gotta jump off. Wow, this is incredible. Okay, let's do this little by little. So there's no B hatches down there. So there's any more hatches on this floor that I know of. None in here. There's none in here. There's that one that I already tried. That hatch. I did not know there was a hatch here, to be completely honest with you. There's no way for me to do it, but that's kind of interesting. Actually, let me just, just for fun, let's see. Okay, it does work, not high enough, so... and then no hatches in here. There's nothing below here. Okay, now time to move forward upstairs. This room has 2 hatches. Now, like, this game hates me, so if I drop from here, no damage. Awesome. I'm really surprised. A lot of these feel like they should be doing at least, like, a bit of damage. I've fallen from, I feel like, lesser heights, and I've taken, at least 1 bit of damage. Maybe the desk? I like stand on like the chair or something? Wow, this is actually kind of incredible. The inconsistencies in this game when it comes to like this, I guess, fall damage is a little interesting. I can break all this stuff, right? Okay, there's no way I can... I can't run from here because the icicles are not fucking away. Okay, I don't know if that got rid of all of them, but let's see. So now I can go from here. Nope. Am I missing any hatches? There's one in... Oh, there's one right here. Hold on a second. No chance in hell if I drop from here that doesn't do damage. Actually, what if I just drop from here? Am I doing something wrong here? Am I doing something wrong? Oh, the fucking light, dude. Are you kidding me? That's just gonna be in the way the entire time. I don't even see an angle to get over there. Like, I guess like that. Okay, if it doesn't do damage. Dude, what the hell, man? All these hatches are just like not working. I think I'm missing one more though. I think there's one right here. But there's nothing for me to get on top of here. Wow, dude. I actually cannot even believe this. So this is actually the last hatch. I forgot about this one. The only problem is that if I'm coming outside anyways, I'm probably going to be looking for like a high enough angle. I'm not going to be looking for this hatch. And it doesn't do any damage anyways. Wow, there's actually, I think this map has the most hatches in the entire game, or at the very least so far. And all of them, not a single one of them can do damage. Like at the very least in Skyscraper, there were only two. There was only two hatches, right? So at the very least in Skyscraper, it's a fifth. It's like you have very low, you know, chances anyways. This map, there's like 8 or 9 hatches, and none of them, not a single one of them, did an ounce of damage. Surprisingly enough, despite me going through like 80 hatches on this map, I did forget one. I highly doubt it's gonna work, but yeah, I had to go back on the map after recording that and to see this. Again, I don't think it's gonna work, but I had to do my due diligence, so let's be ready to be disappointed. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected to happen. You know, some of these maps you gotta be glad that there's an edge to it, because, like, for example here, going 0 and 9 in hatch drops makes you really want to do one of these. Favela was another map I wanted to revisit, because this was one of those maps where they just had a ledge that I dropped off of. So we're just gonna run around and see if I can take any damage whatsoever from any of the hatches. Did not have very good luck on Yacht, but we're gonna see here. This hatch is no point, nothing here. Honestly, is that it? I don't know if there's any other hatches on this map that I think about it. It's this one over here, right? And then there's that one right there, and then I think that's actually it. Yeah, wow, okay, very easy. So, no, it's impossible. Let me go here real quick, before I say it's impossible. Let me just check one more time to make sure, before we start losing our minds. If there's no way I could do it, right? Stand on the money and run off. And then there's no hatches anywhere here, because there's nothing below us. I want to just mention this before the video continues. I'm no longer doing the rankings until the end of the video, because I feel like I changed my mind so many times that I don't want to keep repeating myself with the ranking system. So we're just going to skip over that until the very end, where I'll show off what I had originally, then we'll make any changes according to that. Anyways, this map would be easy regardless, but we'll see what happens in the video if I change anything. Okay, back to voiceovers. So here is Coastline. There are actually quite a few hatches around the map. This one I actually got super lucky with. So as you can see, that hatch drop didn't really work, and I'm gonna go here and try it again. There are approximately like 5 hatches. There's this one in Hookah, there's the one in Aquarium, there's the one in the penthouse bedroom. Here I'm walking on the rails. I'm trying to, you know, think, okay, is there a way I can take fall damage from here? I go up on this table thinking I can climb on the computer. Maybe it'll give me a little more height. It doesn't work. And then I go down and I fail. This is the aquarium hatch I was talking about, trying to get on these hatches. There are not many places on this map. A lot of the hatches don't have things directly next to it, and most of them don't really have anything on it. But like I said, I got really lucky on this map. There was a point in time where I was doing something very similar, where I was trying to find a way to, you know, die. And I remember, for some reason, I ran out here to see if I can find a ledge. And oddly enough, you can just vault on this for some reason. They'll just let you vault on this. I'm so glad I remembered that because this map would have been a fail. But yeah, no, you could just vault on this thing for some reason and die. I don't know why they added that in the game, but it's good for me. After L after L after L of not being able to do hatch drops, it felt pretty good to come on the map, enter the game, and then immediately hit one right away. This one did 5 damage, and I was feeling myself. I said, okay, I can do that, but let me find other hatches and see if I can do any other ones. So I come on top of here, I jump off, another 5 damage. I'm feeling myself again. I say, let's go for another one. Let's do 3 for 3 hatches. Drop down, 4 damage, but it gets even better because I'm realizing I could probably just go on top of this TV. I walk off, I get on top of that TV, drop down, 12 damage. Actually, I lied. Sorry, a mistake. 22 damage. I did my math wrong there. 22 damage. Ending off the round with a pretty high success. Tower started off pretty successful too. I come over here and I go to this hatch first. I was contemplating trying to jump on top of those bottles, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to, so I just ignored it. This one did do 7 damage. That was pretty good, but if I come over here, this hatch is actually pretty nice. So my favorite part about this entire thing is just the creativity, right? Like I said, you want to get to the high enough point. So if I'm standing on a desk, but I see there's a pile of papers or a folder or a computer, I'm going to try to get on top of those too and hopefully do some extra damage, to which this one did do 12. I ran up here to originally do the desk again, but then I remember there's a hatch in here, so I hop on the couch. There's not much more elevation I can get. I believe this one does 6 damage, which isn't bad at all. I mean, it's better than some other maps, and hey, damage is damage, so I'll take it. I forgot what this room is called, but next we have this hatch here. I drop down, and I think it is about 6 as well, but I go and try it again, because for some reason I think it's going to do more damage, and then it does even less, so I decide, you know what, this is a bust. We're not coming back here anymore. I do check the elevator hatch, because, you know, just for funsies, but I know for a fact there's no way for me to get up there. I know obviously if you go up on top of there and you drop down, you'll die immediately, but there was no point of that. So I just come back to good old reliable, take the 12 damage. I do that a couple of times, leaving me at 12 surprisingly, to drop down for one final time, ending my life. All good things must come to an end. That's not necessarily bad for this map. What happens is I shoot that for some reason, and as you guys know, height is a key factor in trying to beat this challenge, and so I end up shooting the thing that would have given me height, making me fail this hatch drop. And I get a little upset, so I decide, you know what, let me redeem myself. I walk past that hatch to begin with because there's no point. I know I could just walk off the ledge if you go out here on top of the balcony, but for curiosity's sake, I'm checking more hatches. Which is a good thing I did, because let's say that balcony didn't exist here. Dropping off of this does a total of 15 damage, which is phenomenal. I come over here to just check more hatches. I think I have to go ahead and slide on this couch from the other side where the cushions are to get on top of it. So I get on top of the couch, I open up the hatch, and surprisingly, I don't think this does any damage to me. I was pretty upset about that. I was thinking, man, okay, I thought I had a good run there. I'm looking for more hatches. Remember, there's one in here. I decide not to shoot the one thing that would actually help me. So I get on top of the desk, and I climb this little telescope thing, and that drops me down. And I believe it does 22 damage here. I'm not 100% sure. 22 damage, which was phenomenal. And I was so happy about that that I decided to just keep doing it instead of walking off the ledge. I think that time I decided I'm not doing this shit. Climbing on top of the thing is so annoying. So I decided to just drop off from the desk, assuming it would do damage, which it did. Fortress was definitely one of those maps where if there weren't for ledges, this would have been pretty hard. I tried to cheese the system there, see if I can find a height that wasn't like death rate but would have done damage. Couldn't do it. This hatch obviously isn't going to work. There's nothing next to it to help me out there. As well as this hatch here, there's nothing for me to get on top of. A lot of these hatches are kind of just tucked into corners. It's not really going to work as well. This hatch even is kind of tucked into a corner, but thank God there was a desk next to it. So I hop on top of the desk, drop off, does amazing damage. 7 damage, well, I'll accept. This hatch is under a staircase. No way I can get high enough to do that one. And I actually tried to cheese the system here. So this is actually an angle you can get into the building where there's no hatch at all. It's just you drop straight into the building, which is pretty cool. I don't know why I'm checking ledges here. I know it's not going to work. Ignoring that, I come to this little hole here, and I try to see what if I can drop down in between the ladder. And obviously I fail. And just to save myself the embarrassment, I decided to just end it once and for all, jumping off the ledge, making this map relatively easy if I didn't waste all my time. I actually started off Outback pretty interestingly. So this was another one of those maps where I've played it before and I had to, you know, try to damage myself to end the round. And so I was running around the map and I tried doing a ton of things. And so I kick off doing that. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? It works. I did a lot more damage than I remember. Let's just, for the sake of hatch dropping, because I've been doing it the whole video, let's go try to find one out. So this is the first hatch I come to, and I actually have to be pretty creative here to get through this hatch. So it doesn't let you vault directly onto the couches, and it doesn't let me run on it either like I tried in the other maps. And then I turn around and I realize, you know, hey, what if I get on top of this and then glide down? And so I glide on top of it, I drop on the hatch, and it still fails because of the stupid fucking desk. So, moving on. I try to do the same strategy I used for Cafe to drop down, and surprisingly, it doesn't do any damage. I thought it was going to do at least a little bit. And so my second thought process was, what if I can get on top of those barrels using my strafing as strategy I've been trying to do. So I tried doing it, running around, and I take a little bit of damage. I believe that was 5. And so I tried doing it again. I want to get on top of the barrels directly. I know if I get on top of the barrels, it'll actually do way more damage, but I can't find a way. I fail, I drop, no damage, I give up. I come over here to this bull one. I know for a fact the bull is way too far, but I tried anyways. I run down, land directly on top of it. I can't really get the angle to where it'll fly me out, you know, through the hatch. And so I just call it here. I climb on top of this. I actually end up taking a little less damage because I think I'm curious to see if I fall from the wood. And it does obviously do less damage. So I just ended off with the metal, 360, die. I think the biggest problem with a lot of these maps is some of them just don't have a lot of hatches. And this map is definitely one of them. I believe it has a total of 2. This one, which isn't going to work, and then this one in here. And this one almost didn't work, but I think opening up the hatch actually made it perfect, because the way that I end up doing this is I have to strafe on top of this, and then I fall down from here, and I take very little damage. I think it's 2, right? But in my head, I said, okay, well, I think I only dropped from the brown part, so if I drop from the white part, should do some more damage. Didn't do any damage this time. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I gotta get on there perfectly. So I struggle here to stay on top of the white part. It's really annoying, trust me. The slipping thing is getting me frustrated here. But I get the perfect drop down. That does 6 damage. That's amazing, but I want to maximize damage as much as possible. And this was another one of those maps where I've had history with it, where I had to take damage for whatever reason. And so I know that this table method exists. For some reason, when you run directly from the table off of it, it doesn't do as much damage. As you can see there, it only did like 9. When you stand on the ledge itself and you get yourself just that inch of elevation, it does more damage, so I can't technically see it here. But if I were to have fallen off from there originally, it would have killed me instantly. Stadium Bravo is a perfect example of extreme fall damage inconsistency. I feel like I've fallen from lesser heights or same heights and taken damage at the very least once. And doing it twice now, taking no damage, is kind of insane to me. So I leave there and I come over to this hatch, and I realize there's a predicament here. It's kind of close, but there's a big wall in front of it. So my idea is to strafe around it, but I'm having trouble getting on this ledge. So I turn around and say, okay, if I squeeze on the wall, it'll be a little easier. I come over here, and I try to strafe around, and I get so close. But I realize that's a waste of my time. Forget that. I come into here, and this is another example of inconsistency. So I'm trying to get on the chair to elevate myself, and I feel like I've flown from further away down the hatch, but for some reason, when I fall off of the chair, it drops me just barely. And then this time, I actually think it drops me on the hatch itself, so I don't actually fall down. I don't take any damage. And I'm losing my mind here. So I say, you know what, let me take a trip outside, because I know for a fact I get the damage out here. There are these, like, different elevations here, and I know that when you drop down, you do take a little bit, because I've done it before by accident. And so I thought it was going to be way more. When I drop off, it only does 3 damage. So I'm losing my mind here. Hatches that I feel like should do at least a little bit of damage, there's no damage. And then drops that I feel like should do a lot of damage, do a little bit of damage. So I'm just grasping for straws here. I drop on top of this, thinking if I can get on that wall, I can drop off and, you know, almost die. But it doesn't work out. And so I'm kind of like losing hope. And I think, man, I gotta just keep dropping off this for 3 damage. And then I find this. I've never been here before, so I did not know this existed. There's just this one random ledge you can fall on top of, which ends the round, making this, technically speaking, an easy map. Which brings us to the worst part of the entire video. The devil itself. This map fucking blows. And I partially blame Ubisoft, because there are certain places on this map that should be vaultable that aren't. Like this desk right here would have been perfect. It's a nice height up where it'll probably done at least like 7-8 damage. And I get why, because if I get on top of this table, I get a nice angle onto that doorway. I get it. But come on. This one, at the very least, I should be able to vault on top of. What damage is it doing being able to vault on top of this that it's so detrimental to the game that it won't let me? Which brings me to the final hatch that I'm able to access. We're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to put in the corner a counter. How many times I drop from this hatch. And I'm going to let you guys count along. I'm going to give my voice a break while I continue to do this, because if you guys couldn't tell, I've been getting progressively sick while making this video. And I want you guys to guess how many times it takes me to fully die while dropping off this hatch. Keep in mind the time that you see at the very top of the screen. moments like these that made it even worse. As you can see, I went from 56 to 52. And so I'm thinking, oh my god, okay, well, if there's a way to get 4 damage, I have to figure it out. Well, let me try to recreate that angle exactly the same way that I did it. I feel like I've been doing it the exact same way the entire time, but I'm going from 3 to 2 and then 1. You give me 4 and then you give me 1. This game sucks. You want to know the worst part about all of this? After all this build-up, you see how I'm at 7 HP? That doesn't mean jack. Because if you would have told me for any other map I'm at 7 HP, I have to drop down this hatch 3 more times in order to kill myself, I would have told you you're a loser. I would have told you, no, I got this. I would have told you I'm the hatch drop master. And for me to hop on this table, hop on this TV, send myself flying down this hatch, and be left on 1 HP, to have to go back up there and do it all over again. This has been the worst time of my entire life in Siege history, and I've gone through many, many hackers. I've gone through people who team killed me for no reason. This has been the downfall of my Siege career, is sitting in this game for 20 minutes to do this shit. I'm very happy to say that after the torture that we just went through, we did strike a bit of luck on Nighthaven. So I get on top of this desk, and I'm determined to get on this computer. Now, it's not letting me do strafing, but I do realize there is an extra technique that I learned right here that I didn't use in any of the map, that if I start to really hump this computer, it actually does slowly push me up, and I get on it. And when I fall, 20 damage. Beautiful. So I decide, alright, hold on, I got my winner here, let me just check other hatches. I ignore this one because clearly there's no way to do it. Alright, I move on, it's whatever. And then I get to this hatch, you know, obviously I want to get on the railing, but I know it's not really a possibility, so I kind of say, okay, whatever. But I remember something. I remember there's a hatch in here, and I know nothing directly is next to it, but there's this big behemoth of boxes here, and I know you can get on that. The problem is, I don't know how to get from here to on those boxes. That's the biggest problem that I'm going for here. And on top of the fact that not only do I know how to get on top of that, getting on top of the boxes in general is just really inconsistent. You can see I'm trying again and again and again, and it's not letting me land on top of it. It's super inconsistent. I believe I get it here, and then I don't know. But even when I get here, I don't know how to get on top of those other boxes. And so I'm continuing to try over and over again because I feel like this is going to insta-kill me if I do it. But I just keep failing again and again. And so I decided, for the sake of my sanity, we're going to take a break here. We're going to go look for other hatches. So I remember this one outside. I know for a fact I can't do it, but again, I always check just in case. I think for a second maybe I can get on this railing, but once I realize it's vaultable, there's really no way for me to get on top of that. And so I decided, you know what? I'll just go to good old reliable. I struck gold. I should just stop mining. Again, I just had to do this 63 times, and I was doing 1 damage at a time. So I'll take the 20, and I'll enjoy it with a smile on my face. So I come up here, hump this computer one more time. You know, I stand on top of it with a victory in my bones. Drop off, dead. Pushing us to the last map. So I ran into something like this earlier, where there was a hatch on the other side of a wall, where I had to strafe and try to fall down. And I really didn't think I was gonna be able to do it, but I did end up nailing. The only problem is, you can see here, I'm standing here and I'm like, oh, I'm a little confused. It's because I expected it to do damage. I feel like the amount of times that I've gone up on a desk, dropped off, and took 0 damage is insane to me, because a lot of these desks feel like they're the same height. So I decided to come up in here because I know there's a hatch and I know there's a desk in here. But the problem is, it looks like it's the same height, so I'm starting to already lose hope that none of these hatches are actually going to work. And so instead of losing my mind, I just move on to the next hatch. I decided, you know what, if one hatch doesn't work, move on to the next. Hopefully, one of these hatches will eventually work. I come over here. The desk looks basically the same height. I'm trying to elevate myself on this little painting thing. It's not really working. Run off. No damage. And I'm sort of like, oh man, this is gonna suck. I'm gonna go out with an L here. I go to this hatch, and I know the desk is way too far, and so I don't even bother trying. I run away. I know there's a hatch over here, but this hatch, there's nothing next to it. And at this point, I'm like really panicking. Like I do not want to end off at an L, but none of these hatches are cooperating with me, and I think that was the last one. So I change up the strategy just a little. I go outside because my hope is I can find a ledge somewhere that does a little bit of damage. Even 1 damage is enough. I'll go through the tortures again, as long as I can say that every map has a way to die. And so that's kind of what I'm doing out here. Because this map is filled with a bunch of rocks that's inside of a cave, there are a lot of ledges like this where it's right next to a bunch of rocks that are elevated. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I need to find a railing that might be next to rocks that I can vault over. As here, I'm still trying to figure out how to get on there. I believe I strafe on top of the railing here. And this railing, unfortunately, doesn't lead to anywhere. But this is kind of where my head is at, where let me find a railing, let me find a rock. Let's see if I can put 2 and 2 together. Which brings me to right here. Now, I want to preface this by saying, I have never spawned on this side of the map. I have literally never been over here. I've seen this staircase in, like, videos of people playing Siege, but I personally have never spawned here. So, to my surprise, when I walk up here to think I'm going to try to get on the railing, and then realize I'm actually just straight up on the roof, let me tell you, I was ecstatic when I found out that I was just standing on the roof. Because I was losing hope. None of the hatches were working. I didn't think I was going to find a ledge. And now I'm literally standing on the roof. This is the last thing I need to do. This is the last map in the entire game. And I thought all hope was lost. And then I find a staircase that brings me to the roof. This is amazing. And so I'm stalling here a little bit because I'm like happy. Because this is the last map. And so with one final hoorah, I stand here. I'm probably talking to myself right now. I'm talking to you guys right here. I'm saying, guys, we did it. Victory is ours. We killed ourselves on every single map in the entire game, with the exception of close quarters, which leaves us to do one last final fall. Now, the last thing we have to do is properly rank all of the maps. As you can see earlier in the video, I was ranking them as I went, and I still did that, which is why all the maps are ranked. I just didn't put it in the video because I knew I wanted to overhaul the entire ranking system anyways. So first, we're going to start with easy. We're going to push everything down that I think is a little harder, and then we'll keep pushing down as necessary. So starting off with house, obviously the ledge existed. That's fine. Oregon, I think that the map has been in the game for so long that, like, maybe to a new player it wouldn't be obvious, but I feel like that ledge, you know it does damage because it's one of the first maps in the game. So I'm going to keep it in easy as well. Presidential Plain, also very easy. Bank, easy. Canal, easy. Chalet, easy. Yacht. The thing with Yacht is that it's not like a known thing. Like, you know there's ledges on house. You know there's ledges on Oregon. You know there's ledges on Plain. You're not going to know there's a ledge on the boat somewhere. Like, I had to go out and, like, try to find that. It wasn't something that I ran to immediately. Now, again, it was easy. I'm inclined to put it in normal. I think I'm going to keep it in easy for now, just because at the end of the day, like, again, it might not be known, but because I knew I was looking for ledges, it was easy for me to find. So I'm going to keep it there. Obviously, if you don't know, like, if you're not trying to commit suicide, you're not going to know, oh yeah, there's a ledge on Yacht that you can fall down off of. But with that in mind, trying to find active ledges, I'm going to keep Yacht in easy. Favela, obviously, definitely very easy. District, extremely easy. Probably the easiest one because you can repel as anybody. Villa, very easy. Fortress, easy. Stadium Bravo, easy. And then Lair, easy. Lair I'm going to keep there because I think that was just due to my knowledge. I didn't know Lair had the staircase that went directly to roof. So it looks like everything in easy I personally agree with from before. When it comes to normal, I'm going to keep all the hatch drops here that were relatively simple. So for example, Clubhouse, it was just jumping off the microwave. Easy to get on the microwave, easy to fall off the microwave. Consulate, same thing, get on the desk, very easy to fall. Skyscraper, this is the first one I'm going to move. I'm going to move down to hard. Mainly because Skyscraper didn't have a super simple way. I had to go find a ledge that people already knew they weren't going to take fall damage and tweak it just a little bit to take fall damage. Despite that, I'm going to keep it in hard. I'm not going to move it down to extreme. One, because not a single one of these fucking maps are on the same level as Stadium Alpha. But on top of that, it was super simple to do. The thing was more so the trickery of this spot you don't take fall damage on. And I found a way to do so. But it was still simple to do, so it's just going to stay in hard. Coastline, I'm also going to move to hard. Because in every other map that has a ledge, you can't vault it. I think what happens is the ledge was extending a little bit out, and it's a little bit of a thicker ledge. So with those two things in mind, you were able to vault on top of it. Most people aren't going to know you're going to do that. Like if I told you, hey, no gadget usage, go throw yourself off the map in Coastline, you're not going to know that that ledge exists. You might stumble upon it, but you're definitely not running to there immediately. So I'm going to keep you there. Theme park was definitely easy. Regular hatch drop. Yeah, you dropped off the TV, but if it's easy to get on top of, I think it's fine. Same thing with tower. Very easy to get on top of those hatches, and so I think it's fine. Cafe, I'm actually going to keep it normal. But only because it's using hatch drop techniques. I feel like it's kind of obvious if you stand on the desk and you fall off, you're going to take more damage, or you're going to take damage to begin with. But most people might not realize it because when you jump off a ledge via the balcony, it doesn't do any damage. So they don't realize if you jump from the desk, it might do damage. So I'm going to keep it in normal. I personally think it's easy. Now, border. Border, I'm actually going to move up to easy. I know I said hatch drops go to normal, but border was, again, one of those maps that have been in the game for so long. And like I said earlier in the video, when border was, I was actively trying to do border, it's one of those things where you know it's going to happen. Hatch drops is a thing that I had to learn and figure out throughout the video. The border one I already knew existed. So I feel like for that reason alone, it has to be an easy, just because it's been out for so long that angle of falling through the hatch when you're on top of that wall is known to almost everybody who plays the game. So I'm going to keep it there. Nighthaven, normal hatch drop. I'm going to keep it in normal. As for the hard, I think all of these are perfectly fine. Outback, the thing is, like, obviously, like I said, with the whole you have to get on a high ledge, a lot of people might not realize that it's high enough of a ledge. So, I think that it's understandable to put it in hard. Same thing with Emerald Plains. You might not realize that standing on that table and falling off is high enough, so you might not, actively go ahead and try to take damage through that means. And then obviously I moved these two down here, so I think these two are in hard. I put that in extreme. I didn't know that was going to be a fucking category. I didn't know I was going to have to make a new category specifically for one map, but fuck that map. Unfortunately, we do take one L, and that is close quarters. I really could not find a way to do it. I couldn't find a way to take even so much as a little bit of damage, let alone a big enough ledge to kill me. And then obviously we have Hereford Base, which I'm not gonna forget. I know that map exists, rip my homie Hereford Base. Unfortunately, it's nuked. I do believe it's gonna come back at some point, sometime next year, maybe season 2 or 3, because I think season 1 we're getting the new map, which is supposed to be like a casino. That's kind of cool. But Hereford Base, I'm here for you, baby. You come back to me and I'll find a way to kill myself on you. Can't believe I just said that. Anyways, this is the official, the final, the correct, and let's be real, the only list on the internet that you're going to find all the maps ranked from easiest to impossible as far as fall damage goes. If you watched till the end, why? You saw a man throw himself off a cliff 25 times, you're insane. But if you did watch and you enjoyed, please subscribe, because this took a very long time and this is a lot of misery. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.